We have a two-part question.
Great, let's take it.
So one of them was like, hey, is it still defending if you just say nothing and change the subject? That's one of the...
Yes, that's a great question.
It's like ninja level defending. It's, the defense of no defense.
Yeah.
But it's still absolutely a way of defending.
Yeah, here's what I want to say about that. When we're triggered, we tend to go into pattern. And when we're in the pattern, there's a particular way that our system energetically sort of protects itself. And when you're in defense, that energetic protection is in and down, right? And when you're in complaint, your response to also being overwhelmed and triggered is up and out. Like blame, criticism, complaint, or in and down, defense, complacency, stuckness. So not saying anything and basically changing the subject is still that same energetic pattern, which if for those of you that speak in the language of energy and can feel these dynamics, not just as a psychological dynamic or an emotional dynamic, but an energetic one, then not saying anything and kind of shutting down, you're kind of going in and down. So now you're sort of unreachable. So there's not a lot of intimacy there but it's also like, just to give you complete empathy, not even accusing that you do this, but anyone that would do this, they're doing it because they're overwhelmed, they're triggered, and they don't, it's a lot to have to hold someone who's shooting energy up and out at you. The most natural thing to do is to go in and down. It's literally the opposite energy to kind of get away from it. Like, I don't want to deal with this. Let me just change the subject. Let me just try to create some other energy or some other dynamic between us. But it won't resolve it is the thing. What we want evolving lovers to understand is, how do we permanently rewrite and resolve these cycles? And that won't lead you, although it might for a short period reduce the level of stress in your system because you're not on the receiving end of as much of the energy because you've kind of pulled away. But I guarantee you that issue is not going to resolve itself, and that the only way to resolve itself is one of the best ways to resolve itself is to provide the opposite energy. So if you're wanting to, let's say, run away, for whoever resonates with that, if you could instead lean in and meet future vision and possibility and say, here's what I see. Here's the value that you're fighting for. That's worth me standing for. Here are the ways that I'll restructure in order to hold that value. That is going to go a lot farther to permanently rewriting it, because you're restructuring the relationship in response to the very complaint. That's all that the person complaining really wants.
A different future.
Is a different future. One where they're not having to be pained by whatever they're complaining about. Even if their complaint is, you could argue whether they're legitimate or not legitimate, but they want a future where they're not hurting.
Well, just like my defense had the positive some of the positive negative, it's more like the motive I'm proud of and the motive I wasn't proud of.
Yes.
Every complaint has a legitimate and a kind of not seeing the whole truth element to it. If you saw the whole truth, there could be no complaint. It could only be an acknowledgement of what is and an invitation for what could be. So for it to be a complaint and have blame in it, there's got to be a little distortion. But there's also got to be truth in there too. And you can always find both.